I cannot escape The Amazing Digital Circus, which is a weird thing to say about a show that I haven't even watched. It's just everywhere. Every video we make, there are at least a handful of comments about it. Every time I dare to look at social media, there it is. The number of requests we've received to analyze this show, it's got to be up there in the top 3 most requested topics ever. Here's the thing, though. I don't even know if I need to analyze it. Because when I look at this show, analysis is pretty much all I see. I mean, there's fan art and cosplays, and I'm sure plenty of people just watch for fun, fine, but the sheer amount of fan theory surrounding this show, from the outside, it looks like a show that is pretty much made for theorizing. It's almost intimidating. In fact, I honestly think that is the single thing that's kept me from watching it all this time. But, that's not really the show's fault. I don't really get fan theory. I mean, I get it. I know what it is. I've certainly seen plenty of it. The MatPat stuff, trying to figure out if Link is dead or what the FNAF timeline actually is. The mascot horror genre is practically built on fan theory. I've frankly seen people go to unbelievable lengths decoding all the ciphers in Gravity Falls or manually counting every tree in Skyrim. There's clearly a genuine drive here. I've just never felt it myself. Which is kind of a shame, isn't it? I mean, looking at The Amazing Digital Circus, I have this feeling of just estrangement. Like there's a whole world I'm missing out on, a whole other way of interacting with stories. So, here's what we're going to do. I have never tried something like this on the channel. I have no idea how this is going to go. It is a completely new thing to me. I am going to watch The Amazing Digital Circus, and then, for the first time ever, I am going to make a fan theory about it. And I'm sure absolutely nothing will go wrong. Okay, big announcement before we get started. We are making a bunch of stuff free, so listen up. Over the last year or so, we've been inviting our paid supporters on Patreon, YouTube, Discord, and elsewhere to come chat with the team on our Discord server. We've had a whole area where the humans behind the show brainstorm ideas for videos, spoil thumbnails and topics months in advance, and ask for feedback. It's the only place where the Foundry team talks directly to the fans. Now, the walls are coming down. We are officially making our behind-the-scenes area free for anyone who decides to join our Discord server. Come chat with the team, suggest video ideas, get spoilers long before anyone else. Getting suggestions and feedback from the community has genuinely been one of the most helpful things we've ever done. So, it only makes sense to invite more people in. Visit thetailfoundry.com/discord to sign up. I hope we'll see you there. Now, back to the video. Okay, I did it.
I did it.
He did it.
I did it.
He did it.
I just spent 2 days binge-watching The Amazing Digital Circus. I'll say this much. I liked it. It's a great show. I've been a fan of Gooseworks, the creator, since way back in the Lil Runmo days. Her crazy, geometric, stylistic mishmash aesthetics are on full display here. It's really cool to see her producing something at this scale. I also really love how in-your-face the show is about its key inspiration, I have no mouth and I must scream. Weird and fun to see that paired up with gummy alligators and talking chess pieces. I absolutely see the appeal. I also did not have fun watching it. Remember, I promised I would watch this show and create a fan theory out of it, right? Yeah, it turns out thinking that way about the show really affected my experience of it. When you start watching the show, pretty much the first thing you learn is that most of the characters are humans from the real world, somehow trapped in the digital circus. They're stuck there with Kane, a sentient AI and the ringmaster of the circus. He starts off the show by making them perform a theme song, which is just the beginning of the torture he puts them through. Immediately, Kane caught my attention. He breaks the fourth wall a bunch of times and forbids everyone from swearing. This is a family-friendly show, he says. That got me thinking. What did he mean, family-friendly show? Who did he think was watching? What if all the characters are stuck in the actual show, like some sort of Doki Doki Literature Club situation? Was Kane really a cartoon character in a web show? Or was he actually, canonically, supposed to be performing for us, the real-life audience at home? So there. Theory, right in the first few minutes. Easy. Kane is aware of us, and the show is actually a meta show, aware that there's an outside audience in real life looking in at it. Now to find out whether I'm right. One thing about this show, it's extremely existential. The first few episodes come off as a fun romp, but it quickly deteriorates into fraught psychological examinations of all the characters and their past lives. Normally, I would eat all of that up. I wanted to think about the themes and meaning and how the experience of these characters in this digital hell might, reflect the real lived experience of humans. But that's not what I was here to do. I had a theory to test. So, instead of engaging with the complex, nihilistic dialogues as they mounted episode by episode, I found myself counting all the times the number 57 appeared on the screen, searching for the mysterious C&A logo that kept popping up everywhere. I knew these things were put into the show on purpose, a little theory crafting bait, and, that's what I came to do. Craft a theory. These, I thought, would lead me to an answer, a confirmation of whether my theory was wrong or right. The biggest piece of evidence came in the penultimate episode, where Kane sings a song called The One Who's Running the Show. That was a little exciting for me. The trailer for the episode even references The Truman Show, a movie about a man whose entire life is a broadcasted TV production. This could have been the proof I needed, the little bit of validation that could make all this theory crafting worth it. Did these clues really mean that Kane was running the actual show, the one we're all watching here on YouTube? Was I right all along? Well, maybe not. Because in the last episode released as of writing this script, Kane was deleted, and the humans were still trapped in the circus. I ended up unsatisfied. Not because the show was bad or because my questions had gone unanswered. The final episode, a feature-length film that will no doubt change everything, hasn't even come out yet. No, I was unsatisfied with my theory. I didn't really care about it, if I'm being totally honest. I mean, what did it matter if the show is really a meta show directed at us or not? Unless the themes or the dialogue engage with that idea somehow, it's just sort of a matter of fact, a thing to establish, a thing to find out. If I was right, I was right. If I was wrong, I was wrong. I really think I would have enjoyed the whole experience more if I wasn't trying to predict it. What I really wanted was to study the characters, their motivations, their insecurities, how they each dealt with being trapped in a cycle of meaninglessness. Instead, I was just looking for 57s or scrutinizing blurry background props. Look, if you stop this shot here, you can see a book called MatPat Theory. Neat. So clearly, I must have done something wrong here, right? I think of all the people who love this kind of thing, how many communities are built around it, how passionate and dedicated they are, how actually legitimately important this is to people. I made a theory, but somehow I don't think I'm really any closer to getting fan theory. But if you think that's where this little experiment is going to end, you don't know me very well. I am a researcher all the way through, and if I don't get it, that just means I'm going to have to dig deeper. Okay, we're back. I realize now that it was probably a mistake to start with a theory. Maybe the fun part is looking at all the pieces and coming up with a theory later. I mean, obviously, there's still plenty to wonder about, even if you've watched the show all the way to its end, which I still technically haven't. So I watched it again, all the way through, and just tried to let something come to me. Harder than you'd think. I'm not really primed to ask little questions. But it did sort of work. I mentioned how the show was inspired by I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. It's not exactly subtle about that.
Don't need to scream if you ain't got a mouth.
Honestly, that is the exact thing that got me interested in the first place. I took one look at it and thought, you're telling me this wacky, colorful, arguably adorable web show was inspired by one of the most notoriously bleak works of literature ever written? I mean, it makes you wonder, right? How was it inspired? How does that show up? What can you learn about this story by reading this other, much darker one? From there, I was kind of hooked, which felt great by comparison to the first go-round. I started by rereading I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream. The parallels were everywhere. A group of humans trapped by a malevolent AI in a purgatory designed to torment them specifically? A deeply flawed artificial creator deity struggling with the hell of his own existence? Come on now. It felt too easy. So I decided to expand the search a bit, see what other works might have influenced this one and where that might take me. So next I read Jean-Paul Sartre's existentialist play No Exit, which was shockingly familiar. It's about a group of characters stuck in hell with each other. Only here, hell is a cozy, well-furnished room. Their only torment, really, is each other. Without any mirrors, each character can only see themselves through the perception of the others. The connection to Digital Circus? It was there. You have a bunch of tortured characters in an oddly nostalgic sort of hell, their deepest insecurities on full display. In Digital Circus, Kane gives the humans bodies that he thinks will suit their minds perfectly, but which really just end up reflecting their insecurities. And as the show establishes in the very first episode, the Digital Circus has no exit. The play No Exit describes hell as life without a break. Its characters aren't even allowed to blink. You could say that life without a break perfectly embodies the Digital Circus as well. The humans are constantly forced into distractions and adventures with barely any time to question Kane or his motives. The threads were there. I could feel something, but it wasn't a theory, really. It didn't really help me speculate about the show itself in any real way. So, maybe what I needed, I thought, were more threads. So I watched The Truman Show, trying to find any hints that would make my old theory more compelling. I read Genesis 4 from the Bible, the story of Cain and Abel, to see if I could deduce anything about this Cain. My reading list grew. Next, I planned to read Dante's Inferno, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. At one point, I even added in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, because Jax, he's like kind of a cartoon rabbit. He tries to act like an edgy cartoon character. Roger Rabbit is an edgy movie about cartoon characters. I was getting a little bit desperate at this point. At the very least, I was having more fun this time. I liked revisiting a lot of these older stories, trying to connect them to this new piece of culture. I was searching for answers and finding connections, but there was still one glaring problem. What I was doing was not theory crafting. Theories presented themselves, yes. Maybe Cain and Bubble are an analog for Cain and Abel, and they're both sentient AIs competing somehow. Maybe we really will find out that the whole show is a meta-story, a la The Truman Show, and Cain will, step out of the screen at some point or something. Maybe this is No Exit, and it's all just a cruel, incisive critique on how difficult existing in a world full of other people truly is. Maybe. These all entered my mind, and I let them all pass by, because I already did that. I already know what it feels like to predict what will happen in the show. I already tried to figure out what's actually going on. And honestly, I just find it boring. Establishing facts, listing details, wiki work. Certainly valuable for learning about the piece, but not creative in the way I'd hoped. Certainly not enough to keep me interested. So, what? What do I even do? Am I just never going to get fan theory? Okay. No, look, I was so wrong. Unbelievably wrong. I can't even begin to... Listen, I figured it out. I get fan theory now. I get it. Here, look at this Reddit post. I saw this, and I almost just wrote it off immediately, but instead, just by chance, I decided to look a little closer, to really think about it. And it's a weird thing to do. It's like, excuse me? What do you mean, As Above, So Below, a found-footage horror film is a Smurfs movie. It's obviously a ridiculous claim, but when I read this post, I mean, OP actually kind of has a case, and I kind of found myself enjoying it. The weird, logical hoops the person was jumping through just to make an argument about something that arguably tells you nothing about either pieces of media? I couldn't explain it at the time, but somehow, in spite of almost everything else I'd ever tried to do in my literary career, it seemed genuinely fun to me. So, here we go. Clean slate, new corkboard, fresh ball of yarn. It's time to make a new theory about the amazing digital circus. Okay, so Kane is a very interesting character. He's a showman with mysterious motives. He subjects the others to elaborate, whimsical, often horrifying experiences, but deep down he craves their validation. I know he's an AI, but I need to think outside the box here. So what if that's not the whole story? What if the big rug pull here is that he too, like the others, was once human, and this whole world is a product of his fractured memories, corrupted by his fusion with the digital sphere? If that's the case, you have to wonder, who was he before he was Kane? What human could be this flamboyant, spontaneous, and deeply off-putting all at once? Who could have a knack for creating weird challenges tailored to every character's flaws, as well as a fixation on theatrics and candy? Oh no. Remember how I said I was thinking of reading Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Well, what if... Oh no. Look, I know this is not a thing. I know Gooseworks didn't put this into her show. I certainly didn't mean to create the next Sans' Nest, but really, you gotta hear me out on this. Remember, the bodies of everyone in the digital circus reflect their greatest fears and insecurities. Gangle's theater masks represent the pressure she feels to display the correct emotions. Zubal's mix and match parts represent their body dysmorphia. Jax feels like he needs to act like a cartoon to survive the circus, which is why he looks like a 1930s cartoon character. And if this impacted Kane himself, well, he has a mouth full of teeth for a face. What does that have to do with anything, you might ask? Well, in the 2005 adaptation of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, directed by Tim Burton, Willy Wonka, played by Johnny Depp, is given a tragic backstory. He has a strict dentist father who only cared about his son's teeth. Even at the end of the movie, when they reconcile, Wonka's father only recognizes him by his bicuspids. So, if Johnny Depp Willy Wonka were to appear as his greatest insecurity, what shape would he take but the only thing his father ever saw him as? This whole time, I was thinking that Cain's name was a reference to Cain and Abel from the Bible. That's obviously what the show wants you to think. But Cain is spelled with an E, and Cain with an E is a suffix for anesthetics, just like the kind a dentist would use when extracting a tooth. Novocaine. That was the first line of thought that led me down this truly bizarre rabbit hole. But there was more. There was so much more. See, both Cain and Wonka introduce themselves in their own theme song, which inevitably goes wrong. They both have a penchant for making wooden puppets. They create these elaborate, wacky worlds that end up tormenting the other characters, and they never seem to understand how terrifying these can be for them. Each of them are deeply insecure, leading them to construct elaborate tests of loyalty. They act as judges of character, and they don't like being questioned. And look, their suits are practically identical. As Digital Circus progresses, Cain is forced further and further from his comfort zone. And what is his comfort zone? The very first adventure we see him make? A candy world with a chocolate river.
We're one tanker away from being Augustus Gloop.
What, you're still not convinced? Well, wait until you see the smoking gun here. Television chocolate. A technology Wonka invented to transport things from the physical world to the digital world. Initially created to teleport candy, but as we see in the movies, it works on humans too. Just not always successfully. Sometimes it alters them. And I was about to read Dante's Inferno. Look, I know this is stupid, but it was really fun. The most fun I've had this entire time, because for the first time in this whole experiment, I wasn't just trying to figure it out. I was being creative. I really felt like I was coming up with something. If you look at it too hard, or really at all, this theory probably doesn't make much sense. But it made fan theory make sense to me. So, mission accomplished, I guess. Oh, look at that. I made a quilt. What a trip. I honestly didn't even know I had that in me. I guess that's the point of an exercise like this. There are 1,000,001 ways to consume stories, none of them more or less correct than any other. I don't know if I'll end up doing fan theory often, but who knows? I did actually kind of love it in the end. It's a nice break from trying to make sense of things all the time. I put so much work into these videos trying to offer something, of worth to all of you, and I'll keep doing that. I love it, but sometimes it's nice to just do analysis for no reason. To think about a story purely because it's fun to do that.
Candy doesn't have to have a point.
And, as it turns out, neither does fiction. As I was doing some of the digging into all this fan theory stuff, I was really surprised to see how many digital circus theories have to do with hell, specifically. Maybe I should have expected that. The show was based on I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream, but the extent to which people were trying to connect the dots here was truly staggering to me. Like, I've seen theories about how every episode of the show corresponds to a different circle of hell in Dante's Inferno, or the classic one that the characters are all in the digital circus as some sort of divine punishment for sins they committed in their past lives. People have even pointed out a consistent pattern of religious imagery in the show, and it's anyone's guess whether that means anything or it's just funny to see cartoon characters in a pastiche of the Last Supper. It's bizarre, to say the least, but honestly, I can see where people are coming from. Imagery associated with hell and the divine is pretty ingrained in popular culture, to the point where if it shows up in a show like this, a cartoon circus show on the internet, people are going to recognize it. There's actually a really interesting history behind where all this hellish imagery comes from and why it's become so recognizable today. There's a new episode of the Curious Archive miniseries Gods and Monsters. It's called The Modern Devil, and it actually answered a lot of questions I never really knew I had about this topic. It'll tell you how the devil went from being a loose collection of scattered biblical phrases to a guy with horns and a pitchfork, or a giant goat robot in Doom, or a cartoon mascot for drain fluid. Gods and Monsters is a show all about the gods and monsters of humanity's imagination and how they manifest from antiquity to pop culture. If you've ever wondered why humans imagine the supernatural in the ways that they do, and I certainly have, this is the place to learn about it. The series is going to be releasing in full over on Nebula soon, but the first 2 episodes are already up there. And so's our Foundry original mini-documentary series, Worldsmiths, all about the authors behind our favorite fictional worlds and the landscapes of their minds. And so is a bunch of exclusive stuff from Jacob Geller and Tirzu and Lily Alexander, and you get the point. Nebula is full of amazing stuff made by our favorite creators that never would have existed otherwise, which is why we bring it up constantly in our videos. In case you somehow don't know, Nebula is an online streaming service made by and for creators. You can find pretty much everything there: documentaries, podcasts, game shows, original series, and you can find all of our videos there, ad-free, a week before they release here on YouTube. If all of that sounds exciting to you, you're going to love this next part. Nebula is dirt cheap. If you use our link, go.nebula.tv/TaleFoundry, you'll get 50% off a year subscription, which comes out to just $2.50 a month. Far less than a cup of coffee. Or if you want, you could just pay one time and then never again. A lifetime membership is normally $500, but with our link, it comes down 40%, all the way to $300. No matter how big Nebula gets, how ambitious its projects, you will always have access. Again, visit go.nebula.tv/TaleFoundry to get Nebula for just $2.50 a month or $300 for your entire life. I hope we'll see you there.